People stole my food in the fridge. People poisoned my food. It was crazy.
What? What's up, guys? Today we have special guests Paul and Sarah. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for having us.
So it's amazing to hear you guys just recently reached financial freedom after about 2 years of investing in real estate. So I mean, like it's I think whenever somebody is able to reach financial freedom in general, it's amazing. But you guys are both young, and I'm not sure you guys look like you're in your teens, but I'm sure you guys are probably like in your 20s or so. But regardless, so financial freedom in 2 years. First of all, I guess, what does it look like to reach like financial freedom? What does that look like for you guys?
So there's this thing called like a FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, that we read about during COVID. And then we looked into it a lot more into like the Reddit posts and streams. And then we found out this thing called a lean FIRE. So our goal was this thing called a lean FIRE, which is basically create a side hustle or some sort of other passive income to replace just enough so that you can survive on your current income that you get from your jobs.
So lean FIRE means like you basically have just enough passive income, whether it's rentals, stocks, whatever, dividends, where it's enough for you to live your day-to-day life, but live very frugally. So enough for rent or mortgage or house payment, whatever it is, maybe food, like your car insurance, whatever it is, but you're still frugal, but you're still passive. So if you want to just not work ever again, as long as you live frugally, you could do so.
Correct.
I think there was like this post on Reddit, I think a long time ago. I think there was a guy, Mr. Money Mustache or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I think there's two ways you can reach financial freedom, right? You can either make more passive income to cover your expenses, or you can reduce your cost of living like drastically. So I think there's two kind of camps that do that. Maybe there's somebody in between, but Mr. Money Mustache was like, here's how you can reduce like all your costs. So like ride a bicycle around, like don't own a car, like live in like the cheapest like rental and like all the ways so that you can just like reduce like your living costs so you can live like financially free.
Right. We basically just didn't want to change our lifestyle too much, but we're also pretty frugal people. We don't buy extravagant things all the time. We cook a lot also at home. So we figured out that number, we calculated it, and then we started buying rental property one at a time. We first started buying rental property while we lived in LA, and we had a friend who showed us how to buy rentals in Ohio, just because it was a lot less risk and they were really cheap at the time.
More cash flow too, right? In Ohio versus like the apartment
So we were finding properties like anywhere from $60,000 to like $80,000, and we'd only have to put 20% down. And I was like, how much does it cost to like get into this? And so he was just like, hey, it's only like $20,000 to get in. So, we saved up enough money, and then we bought one. We hired a property manager, and then it started only bringing about $200 to $300 a month. This was back in 2020.
Sure.
Fast forward to today, that property that we bought for $65,000 is now worth $120,000.
Wow. Okay.
And we've rent bumped from $800 to $1,300.
Wow, that's a big difference there.
Yeah, and that one now cash flow is about $500 a month for us.
Okay.
So we've bought one a year. And then we have 4 out there right now, and eventually we started noticing it got a lot more competitive during COVID.
As far as like the rental properties and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we were putting in offers, we saw that, a lot of the folks who were buying houses were a lot of investors as well.
Yeah.
And the ones that were good deals were these old homes that needed renovations. So we started looking into, what are fix and flip and all that. And we started following Ryan Pineda and all of these other Instagram flicks and flippers. And we soon realized that we essentially have to learn this real estate skill.
Yeah. How to renovate a house and basically flip a house. And so if you buy a house under market value, you renovate it, you can still keep it.
Right.
But then that skill of like buying it at the right value and the renovating is definitely a skill.
Right. Fix and flip was never really a goal for us to like build into a complete business. It was more just like, how do we get enough cash from it or essentially burst some of these properties? We wanted to learn the skill, hire contractors, and essentially manage the project and flip some of these to make some money, to use that to buy more rentals or burr them and cash out. So we moved to Vegas. We joined Ryan's program, Wealthy Investor.
Did you move to Vegas just to flip houses?
No, it wasn't just to flip houses. It was also like at the time, a lot of people were leaving LA when COVID hit.
Okay. Just because it's so restrictive, that's why.
Yeah, we were living in a 500 square foot apartment near Koreatown at the time. In 2020 and 2021, and our options were: do we want to move out into the suburbs of LA and pay double the cost for extra square footage, or move to Vegas, pay half the cost and have double the square footage?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Sarah, she actually booked like 30 appointments to go tour apartments out here in Vegas.
Wow, okay.
And we went in for a whole weekend and we just like toured like 20 of them. And we saw one that we really liked. It was like amazing resort style amenities, like 3 swimming pools, like Starbucks coffee in the lobby. Wow. They have this thing called valet trash where somebody comes and picks up your trash for you outside. It's like, oh, we're going to book this place. So we just finished our lease in LA, moved over to Vegas. It was more of like a cost of living play because we knew the more we could save from our W-2, the more rentals we could buy. So that was the main reason why we left LA, is to come out here to just kind of like keep building our portfolio.
I love it. There's a couple of things that happen right now. So the same thing, the cost of living. If you can get your cost of living down, that's one of the biggest expenses we all have, right? So if you can get that down, you can save a lot more money, or actually have like less that you need to survive on. So number one, that's genius. But the fact that you came out here and you booked 30 appointments, that's such a boss move. I mean, like that. I feel like it's like a small like window into like the way that you do things, you know. So like if somebody who's like lazy like myself, I'm like, okay, I'll book like 3 appointments and then hopefully I'll pick the best out of 3. But you're like, no, let's book 30 appointments. Like, talk to us. Like, what were you thinking? Is that just normal for you?
So Paul likes to say that I'm very diligent.
Okay.
So I'm a good worker. I don't necessarily know. I don't like to do things halfway.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that we were interested in moving here, and we had a window of opportunity of 2 days, and I'm like, let's fill those days with as many appointments as we can. So that's kind of how I work. How
do you even book 30 appointments in 2 days?
So I just got a map of Vegas and literally just circled, like put a star on all the areas, and I mapped out a route and did a hour, like 30 minute to an hour appointment at each stop. And we just spent like almost like 15 hours every day just for 2 days.
We didn't see all 30. We probably saw like 20 of them, but about like 10 each day.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Number one is, I feel like you and my wife would get along really well, because my wife is kind of like very similar as far as just really diligent. Also, our project manager, like just that story alone, like that just speaks volumes to just the way that you see the world and the way that you can the way that you execute on things, you know. So very, very cool.
I think it's a valuable skill to have, especially as we're working with partner. He's more of the visionary, and I'm more of the executor. Like the day to day, what can we do today to expand our business? What is the next step? And he's always the visionary, like thinking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, like what do we want our family to look like? So I think in that aspect, like we work very well as a team together.
You remind me of this couple that I know like very well. They're originally in Hawaii, and then it was a husband and a wife team. The husband was like the go-getter, like, you know, he's locking up deals and everything, talking to people, and the wife is behind the scenes, basically putting together like all the chaos, right? So like making sure things are like managing all the properties well, making sure dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And then I think in their first like 3 years they bought like 90 rentals or something.
Wow.
And then but eventually they've gone on to do like commercial and things, but basically it was like exact same makeup, where the husband was kind of like the visionary and kind of going and just acquiring a lot of deals, and then he'd hand it over to the wife, and the wife would basically like make sure like they don't drown from all like the different properties and things that they're managing.
Yeah, so how we've been brewing a lot is Paul's been acquiring the properties, Paul's been flipping them, and then handing it off to me to manage all the rentals, put tenants in there, manage the day-to-day. So I've been working as like a property manager for all of our rentals, and we have a couple of Airbnbs, couple of midterm, and then the long-term.
You know, like the fun, exciting stuff is like the purchase and then maybe like the renovations to make it look nice. The more like boring, I guess, stuff, or like less attractive, I mean, like kind of like less sexy things is like the managing of the rentals in the back end. But it's so important. And I see so many investors where they like jumping in the fun stuff, right? Like buying the houses, like marketing and like trying to like lock up deals or doing the renovations. And then when it comes down to the back end where they need to manage it, they kind of just don't put in like any effort into it. And then like they get bad tenants, and then like basically their assets become liabilities because of their inability to be able to manage it on the back end.
I think we work together pretty well, because I wouldn't want to run the numbers or anything like that.
So Sarah's background is in design.
Okay.
My background's in like product and project management.
Okay.
So I'm very good at just making sure like a lot of execution also gets done. And Sarah comes in and helps design a lot of our flips. So if I were to design a flip, I wouldn't know the difference between 2 white paint colors. Like I just can't tell, but she knows like one is more warm and one is more cooler. And so with all of our flips, Sarah has designed and picked out all our material guides and automated it at a certain point where we've hired an office administrator, and now she orders all materials for us. She executes all of the delivery and everything. And then with the Airbnbs, Sarah got creative with that and designed all our Airbnbs. But whenever her Airbnbs or her pad split rentals have like a maintenance issue or like a construction problem, I'll go ahead and send our crews in to go fix it and get it done right away. So another thing that we built the last year is a construction company.
Wow. So you guys have your own little construction.
Yeah. So we're also general contractors out here in Vegas. And as we were flipping houses, we started building crews, subcontractors, and all that. And then one of my GCs was just kind of like, Paul, you asked so many questions that like you might as well just become a GC. So I was like, that's interesting. So I asked him, what does that entail and all this? And he explained it to me, and he started teaching me all the trades. And then next thing I know, like we partnered up, we created a company. And so now we have several crews that we do renovations for other investors out here in town.
Wow. That's really, really interesting. I mean, it's you guys, I feel like you guys have moved like very quickly. So like you identify what your goals are, and then the execution is just phenomenal. And it's just like the speed of like thought and ideas to execution makes a big impact in how successful a person is. But just from the sound of what your guys' journey is so far, it sounds like you guys are just massive executors, like massive action takers. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, we love taking action and seeing results. And so whatever makes sense for us, and we always talk about it as a couple, how we can use our strengths and then exploit whatever opportunity we have in front of us.
What does your average day look like?
So these days I wake up pretty early at like 5:30, go to the gym, do my own personal time in the morning, and then phone calls start coming in at 7 a.m. From contractors, and like just get the day started. Contractors like to work really early in the morning and get done pretty early in the day by like 4. So in the morning, I'll just answer any fires that come up or just kind of make sure things are going smoothly and get a report from my office. And then during the day, I will like call up and do marketing or sales, walk appointments with clients, walk through blue tape.
Clients, you mean on the contracting business side?
Correct. Or even our own projects that we're renovating ourselves. So we even have clients on the flipping side where we're helping students across the country. So I also coach in the Wealthy Investor Program.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So you guys started buying rentals.
Yes.
You run some Airbnbs and midterms, also some long-term rentals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then you also started flipping houses. How many houses have you guys flipped in the last few years?
About 27 houses.
27 houses flipped. You started a contracting business. How many clients or jobs have you done or are currently doing on the contracting side?
Over 15.
Over 15. And then you're also a coach for Ryan Pineda to help other students to teach them how to flip houses.
Right.
I mean, and how many years has it been since you started?
I joined Ryan's program in April of 2023.
Okay.
So it's been
about 2 years of just really,
yeah.
I mean, because then financial freedom is one thing, right? Where you have the rental portfolio, but then you guys are also building active income to possibly pour into more passive income, and then also just like grow like your businesses.
Right. Yeah. So our day is just kind of different depending on the day, but during the day Sarah's in the office or walking projects, or I'm in the office and walking projects, but we do stay in touch pretty much throughout the day. And then we try to make sure that we finish out the day with our office, just seeing what's going on, and then we close it, and then we go on and just have our own personal life in the evening.
How about you, Sarah? Is your day pretty similar?
First of all, I don't wake up at 5:30, so I'm more of like a 7:38 waker upper.
With you over here.
Yeah, and then I just like to take some time for myself, maybe read the Bible, spend morning in prayer, and then I really get to work around like the office. Our office administrator comes to our home office at 8, so I manage her time. It could look like going on walks with Paul, helping with sales.
Got it.
Or it could look like talking with the client and designing out their project, because we do primary homes for retail customers as well. Or, running my rentals, like talking with the tenants, dealing with their, God forbid, evictions or, like turnovers or anything like that. Like just dealing with the rental stuff, arranging, maintenance people to go in, and then while helping with any of his flips or any of the active construction projects that are going on right now. So day to day, every day looks completely different.
It seems like you guys have so much going on. You guys have like a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of work and I'm sure a lot of fires to put out. But every time I talk to you guys seem very calm, cool, and collected. It doesn't seem like you guys will ever get like frantic or stressed out. Is that true?
We do get stressed from time to time. I think that's just normal in entrepreneurship. But as you do it more and more, like less kind of surprises you. So you learn how to deal with the fires. And so fires always pop up, but you learn how to become more comfortable and how to put them out pretty quickly. So every level of this that I've noticed, there's like new stresses as you keep moving up, different types of things that come out.
I mean, the thing too is like, they're just, I guess, different personality types. There's some entrepreneurs I see who like, they're always frazzled and they're like answering calls, or like they're out there on the calls all day, and then they're like running, but they seem very frantic, you know? But then you guys, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen you take a phone call. Like even when we're in a conversation, you guys are just chill and like.
No, we're not. It's not always like rainbows and sunshines for us. Like some days are like that. I mean, I think every entrepreneur has those days, but we try to not have as many. Like if we have a day like that, we try to, decompress at the end of the day and try to figure out why, so that we don't have the same day like that again. Like how do we keep constantly improving our processes and systems so that we don't have the same fire? Because I don't want to be dealing with the same fire over and over and over again. So we'll always dissect why did that happen, so that and over time it's like less and less of those days.
Can you give me an example of like a day that was really tough and then you had a fire that you dissected and solved?
Yeah, recently we just had a client where they brought in a subcontractor that went ahead and like messed with their HVAC ducts.
So when client, you mean like it's a client for your contracting business, or
for a contracting business. So we're doing a full renovation, and a client came in and hired another subcontractor that went into their attic and essentially like kind of rearranged all their ducting and stuff.
Your guys' ducting?
Yeah, well, it wasn't a part of our scope.
I see.
So my crew is freaking out, and the subcontractor is complaining to our crew and saying, hey, like, this wasn't part of the original scope. And I was like, okay, like what happened? So it's just like dissecting that and then working with the client on it. And it is obviously a fire because now the client like is aware of it and things like that. Yeah. And but
the client hired you first,
right?
And they hired another subcontractor like separately to do another part of the house.
Right. What happened? Okay. They did. And part of my contract with this client was that this is not part of our original scope. But since we're the general contractor, we are making sure that the project is getting done properly on time and everything. And so, a new process that we just made in place was just, hey, like any subcontractors that are being brought from the client will go through us first, and just make sure that we coordinate properly and we make sure that we watch anything that happens in case they mess with anything during the construction. Because subcontractors, they don't know the overall scope of what's going on, and so sometimes they'll just go ahead and do whatever they want and then not really communicate with us. And if it's not in our scope, then I can easily say, oh, like it's not part of our scope, like it's not, something that we, it's out of our hands, like we're not going to be responsible for. But at the same time, I like to take care of my clients and make sure that, hey, like let's just make sure that even if it's not in my scope, like we have communication channels in progress so that we do keep an eye on anybody coming into houses and things like that.
This is like the difference between like a mature business owner and like a brand new business owner. Is the brand new business owner doesn't know all the problems that are going to occur. The mature business owner has kind of seen a lot of problems. Like they've taken a lot of steps to make their business stronger by solving them like one piece of the puzzle at a time. So over the course of a year, you guys are going to encounter, let's say, like 50 different like small little problems that you're constantly solving. So like the version of you right now is going to be like just way better because you solve all these problems. Right. And hopefully you solve them once, so you're not going to keep solving them over and over. Versus like me, I'm like, I solve the same problems over and over until like I learn, oh crap, okay, maybe I should put a process or system into this. But the more that you can kind of systematize or build these things where you can know how to solve them like at a glance versus like having the same issues over and over, that makes you like a more mature and a more hopefully profitable business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. We're learning every day still. After so many homes, you start realizing how little you really know about whatever craft that you're trying to master. And so it's always great to just ask other pros in the industry who have a lot more experience or similar experience but work on different types of projects, like what they're going through.
You know what I found too in like just flipping houses and construction in general is a lot of things are a lot easier than you think. Like just like things in general are very easy, but there's a lot of like nuanced things that like things you don't think of. So like the actual construction, okay, like the framing, like the drywall, like the flooring, like the plumbing, like it's basically very somewhat simple, like the how to do things, but like scheduling people like over each other, or one guy breaking something else, they put a nail through like your piping or like your electrical. So there's all these little subtle things that you don't think of that makes it more complicated than it should be, So. Or like personalities, like one guy doesn't like get along with another guy, or like
I think the hardest part as you start scaling is just dealing and managing with personalities. With like whether it's like employees or with clients or customers, it's like kind of you can create as many processes as you want, but at the end of the day, like you can't really change a person.
People just break stuff.
Right. Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it.
What about like for you, Sarah, like when it comes down to like the management of things, how has like that been? Are you working with the property managers? Are you working with like the tenants? What's kind of like your role and everything?
So I manage all the rentals, and that means I manage the cleaner / co-host, and I manage the tenants, obviously, all their inquiries for Airbnb and all the guest inquiries and messages.
So you're the one taking all the calls and everything?
Pretty much.
Okay, like they're like, hey, I can't find the house, or like.
Yeah, I'm the one answering the phone call at 2 a.m. when guests ask for extra towels. So, it's my job to be like, well, here's the code to the closet, get yourself some towels, and then don't bother me until the morning.
So are all of the midterms and Airbnbs over here in Vegas?
Yes, we have 4 right now.
So worst case, you could actually drive out there and like if you need to like solve the problem.
Yes, but we try to avoid that as much as possible. We try to delegate a lot of the tasks. Okay. So we're trying to train up resources like our admin and the co-host to grow into these roles eventually and take them over. So I have some time to help with strategies or long-term vision with Paul, and help with the construction side of things.
What does like your team look like currently?
In terms of like the rentals.
So you guys have like, or both. So you guys have an admin like that comes to the office.
Yeah, we just have the administrative admin, and then we have
so your admin help with construction and the rentals, or just one or the other?
She's mostly in construction. She helps with the office tasks.
Okay.
And the administrative stuff, and then she helps out with the rentals, maybe like 20% of her hours.
Okay.
So it's a shared resource.
Do you guys have any virtual assistants or anything else?
Not yet. So last year it was just Sarah and I.
Okay.
And we went to another mastermind and heard that hiring someone for the office would be like an executive assistant was like a big game changer. So this year we hired someone.
So you just hired your admin assistant this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This year.
What? So it's currently it's November.
Yeah.
When did you hire the admin assistant?
We started working with her since like March part time.
Okay. It's about 6 months then. So, okay.
And then we after the part time we just brought her on full time in July.
Has it made a big impact for you guys' business?
Oh, huge impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find the same thing. Like our admin, like it's so like valuable. Like as far as like taking weight and stress and just things you don't have to deal with like off your plate, and so now you can focus on like putting out these like contractor fires and these other things. But like if you had to do both, like your capacity would be so limited.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if there's tasks that are repeatable and I don't want to constantly spend my time on doing that are operational, then we try to SOP it up and then give it to our admin.
Awesome. So you guys recently reached financial freedom, and then you guys were working W-2s. When did you guys actually leave your W-2 jobs?
So I left this year in April.
Okay, wow.
So it's been about 7 months now.
Okay.
And then
July was my first month after I quit my job.
Wow. So you guys just left your W-2s and it's kind of crazy though. So like you reached financial freedom, but it sounds like your schedule might be more busy now because if you got like you're building like you're flipping houses, you're building a construction company, and these they're doing like you're also managing the rentals, etc.
Right.
Yeah, but I have to say it's a lot more manageable when you don't have that W-2, because W-2 does take up like 9-10 hours of your day.
Yeah.
So like when we were doing both, I felt like we were that frazzled, frantic entrepreneurs that you were talking about. And now that we quit our jobs, we can finally dedicate 100% of our headspace to our businesses. And we've really seen it grow since we quit our day job.
I like the strategy of working a W-2 until you have like something it's already like doing really well, then like leaving at that moment in time. Because I think a lot of guys are like just leave before you have like the income, and then it's like very stressful. I mean, it's stressful both ways, right? Because you're working more, but then you don't have any kind of safety net over here. Versus like you guys, in my opinion, did it the right way. Same way that I did it, where you had enough passive income to kind of keep you afloat. So when you did leave your W-2, it wasn't like from a financial standpoint, it wasn't like super stressful.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool is I think it's when I look at your guys' journey, I feel like it mirrors my journey too, because I went to school, I got a job, I was working as a software developer for a long time, and then started investing in real estate on the side, found this whole thing about passive income. My goal was like financial freedom, the same thing. Eventually reached it, and then after I reached it, I was like, okay, now let's keep on flipping houses, doing the whole things. And so like, it's like my journey, I feel like I see a lot of myself inside of you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a very common thing in like any Asian American culture. It's just we're always taught to study really hard, get into a good college, study something where you can get a good job, and then just work as hard as you can in that job so that you can have enough to retire. But we did that. And after about a few years into the corporate world, like it's not for everyone. I think for me, I've always had this sort of voice inside saying like, there's something that, you can do beyond this. You can create your own business. You can become your own entrepreneur and things like that. And so we started different side businesses while we were doing corporate jobs. I failed probably 3 or 4 other side hustles, and I realized
what were the side hustles?
I tried to do YouTube automation. Okay. So like I hired editors in China and also in other countries where we had this channel called like Gadget Globe. So I was like making 10-minute videos of like unique gadgets you can buy online.
Okay. No, I love the creativity.
I thought that would be really cool. I also did like social media marketing. I was looking into that, trying to do like drop shipping things. Okay. Crypto.
This is like all the things that like you get on the internet when you're on the YouTube scrolling, right? It's like they make it sound so easy too, right? When they do it, it's like hey, buy this course and like you can make this much money. And the thing is like it does work and it doesn't work, but I think like a lot of these things too. There's like there's windows where it's like a golden age. So I think like drop shipping worked really well for a period of time, and then what you're gonna find is a lot of like these guys who are doing it successfully. They create coaching programs. When they start to create coaching programs, it's usually like when their business is declining. So they're teaching new people to come in, but it's just not as profitable. Versus like if you got in earlier, like it just like the window is big. Like same with like YouTube automation, or I think to some extent like wholesaling and flipping houses. I think rentals were easier 5 years ago, and then people make courses about it, and then eventually when the courses come out, it's just a harder time to actually do the same thing. So you can't like mimic the coach's success,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've bought 5+ courses, and I realized they all work. Those businesses, it's just you've got to find something that like you're genuinely interested in. Because I've started some of these businesses, and I wasn't spending the extra time before and after like my W-2, and I wasn't putting in the hours that I needed to practice the skills to get good at it. But then once I started doing real estate, that was the one course or industry that I actually spend extra time after work reading or during my lunch break and just like trying to like learn more about. And so once I learned that this was the industry that I genuinely wanted to like get good at, it was like, okay, I started pouring more time into it, and that's when I knew, okay, this is the one that I want to like put.
You have to obsess over it. I mean, it's the same way. Like when I found like real estate, at first I was trying stocks. Like, hey, let's do stocks. So I just did a bunch of research on stocks. My conclusion was like the only responsible way to do it is like the index fund where you get 7%, and you can't build wealth that way. You can maintain it. But then when I got into real estate, I was like, okay, this looks like it could be an avenue. And I just want I literally read like 5 to 10 books a week. I was like so hungry for this information and knowledge. And I think just that consuming you actually helps you to like have the success that you're going to need, especially in the very beginning when it's really, really hard.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So were you reading books, listening to podcasts, YouTube? What was kind of like the strategy to learn real estate investing?
I mean, the more and more I read and learned, the more and more I got analysis paralysis. Like, really? There's just so many real estate strategies out there. There's so many terminology that you don't know about. And then essentially I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go buy a course. I'm tired of reading these books, watching YouTube videos, and like going to seminars. Like, I'm going to just buy a course. So I bought a course, and then I was in a Discord.
What course did you buy?
The first course I bought was Section 8 rentals.
Okay. Was that Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Because we were buying rentals in Ohio, and he said you can do Section 8 out there. And so we actually bought the course, tried to learn it. We were buying more rentals, and then I actually got the Section 8 voucher. I got the inspections, and I got the license for all that. And then I realized, wait a minute, like, they want to offer me less than what I'm currently getting paid for tenants.
Section 8, you mean?
So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. So then I kept looking into other courses. But then I realized after buying so many courses, they all kind of coach it in a different way. Some people like do a Facebook group. Some people do a Discord. Mm-hmm. Some people, the thing about Wealthy that like really attracted me was that
it's about Ryan Pineda's program.
Wealthy Investor by Ryan Pineda here in Las Vegas was that like it is local, and I can just go to the office and literally talk to the coaches. Even if you're not local, like they literally let you set up time with them one-on-one. Whereas like the other programs, like you can't set up time with them whenever you want. But with Ryan's coaches, like you can set up time with them throughout the whole week. Like I'm a coach in the program as well now, and you can set up time with me, or you can set up time with any other coaches during the week. I always offer my Instagram on my coaching calls. So if you ever want to like privately DM me or anything like that and ask me questions, like I always offer that to my students. And so that one-on-one, it's so valuable because you have so many questions through this analysis paralysis process that stops you from wanting to take that jump, that if you just ask someone and just get rid of the limiting beliefs, like you can get one step further faster.
You know, I feel like there's so much power that comes from in person. The thing is, like, when you're in person, there's like a dialogue that comes back and forth, because like, a lot of times, like when you're looking for answers on the internet, it's like one question, right, and you get one question back, and there's nothing bad with that. But then when you have a dialogue with person, they see insights into like, hey, like I'm asking you a question, but he's like, have you thought about this and this and this, and it leads to these other like conversations where you learn things that they're like related to it, but it's not the initial question you asked, but it's like somewhere more valuable, because these are the questions you should have asked in the beginning when you're like having a conversation, you know?
Right. It just speeds up a lot of your learning process.
Mm-hmm. So I think like now that you transition from student to like now coach, do you feel like being a coach actually helps you in any way?
Oh, absolutely. I love coaching. I feel like I'm a natural person who just enjoys like giving back and teaching, because I've been coached so much also, and so I love giving back and just answering. I ask a ton of questions, and I love just kind of explaining things and dumbing things down, like complicated concepts. So I get a lot of like personal value from it, just like making sure like, I can help people who, because I've been helped so much, but also I feel like me coaching has opened more doors for my network. I've actually gotten some deals through students, and I've also done deals in partnerships with students. And so it's also built my brand, my business, my network. And I want to help as many students I can who are dedicated and who are serious about this business, so that I can quickly bring them up to speed to, our levels, and that we can also do business together, because everyone has a different perspective. And once they, can see the same playing field as we do, like they also can like teach me something new. And I'm always learning.
You basically turn like your students into peers, right? So you can get them to peers. It's so much more powerful when you're in a pocket of peers, and let's say like you're like speaking down to like your students.
Right, exactly. It's like kind of just teach them the basic. Once they get up and running, it's like then they learn and they start telling you, hey, have you thought about it this way or that way? And it's like, oh, like you're always learning something.
Yeah. That's a really, really good. Will we see the Sara coaching show anytime soon?
Probably not. I have like tutored people and like coached people for free on Airbnb, but I don't think I'm at that stage yet where I feel comfortable like, paying like charging something to coach. But I know
she would be a great coach. So Sara, a little something about Sara. She immigrated from South Korea when she was 8 years old.
Wow, okay.
She had to learn English in New York, where she grew up.
Okay.
And by the end of high school, she was tutoring SAT English.
Wow.
Like she's like, and she was tutoring AP Bio and all that. So it's like she's a really good teacher also.
When you're tutoring other people, do you feel like, is it fulfilling for you? Do you enjoy it? Do you feel like you get better from it? What's like your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I definitely get the personal benefits from it, like seeing my students grow and being excited for a subject that they didn't know anything about and asking me interesting questions, something that I haven't thought about. Like that definitely brings a lot of joy in me. So I can definitely see myself like taking on like students in the future. But right now, like I'm helping Paul with the construction, with the flipping, with the rentals. Like I don't think I would have the time. That's the biggest thing.
Always, it comes down to like resource allocation, right? Because we all have like limited resources. Where's the best allocation of your resources, whether it's your time, your energy, your money, or like your team? But I think like just throwing it out there, like if you have a one coaching call a week with Paul about flipping, we have another coaching call with Wealthy with whether managing rentals or just being able to talk with property managers, that would be like super, super valuable. Just throwing it out there. I think people would love that.
One thing I think that's super interesting with Sara, so she's been doing a lot of content lately and on TikTok, and one of her video hit 2 million views, and then she went viral, and then her TikTok started taking off. So she's been taking content a lot more seriously this year. And a lot of her content is about like kind of helping corporate girlies leave their W-2 to become financially free and be able to like buy bags and like buy like luxury items. And like, I think that's a lot of motivation for folks who like kind of want a different lifestyle for themselves. And Sara has been able to reward herself with like a lot of these designer bags and luxury and things like that, just because, she's worked really hard. She feels
You're so
like,
humble, Sara. Tell me about this. This is very interesting.
So she's teaching people like how to buy.
Yeah, I'm hooking them in with the bags and the Birkins.
Dude, this is so cheap. Let me tell you what. I mean, so even for me, like, so we bought a Lambo, right? And like nobody cares about how many rentals you own, how many like houses you're flipping. You show the Lambo, like everybody's like, oh, I want to do that thing. It's the flashiness is what draws people in, and whether it's healthy or not, like it's such a good way to get people to be motivated. It's kind of crazy. So the bags, I love the bags.
Yeah, so I hooked them with the Birkins and the Kellys and the Rolex watches, whatever it is. And then I'm like sprinkling in some like financial advice there. You know, like what you can do in your 20s. You know, that video actually did pretty well for me, considering my channel size. It went like 20,000 views.
Wow, okay.
About like what I save on as a high income earner in Vegas.
Okay.
So talking about like the areas like I don't spend money on like cocktails or doing my hair done, or, you know, we don't travel as much. That's surprising to a lot of people to sacrifice that kind of lifestyle. But for us, it's not a sacrifice because we like other things in life that are, you know, good. We like to enjoy good food, but necessarily we don't go out to omakases like every week. And we don't live in a high income city, so we save that way. And we still drive our old car, and we like to save money that way. So like there's areas of our life where we can be smart with and lowering our cost of expense, like our expenses, so that we do have that financial freedom to, you know, sometimes splurge on a bag.
You know, so this is like a really interesting thing to just kind of dive into, is because everybody has things that are in their priority list. Like, you know, so some guys like, I want to live in a nice house. If you want to live in a nice house, then you got to sacrifice everything else, like food, your car, like everything else, right? And then some people were like, I want to travel. Okay, you can travel. Now you got to sacrifice like your house, like your car, like your food, everything else. And for us, me and my wife were like, we just care about food. So like when we started like doing a little bit better, our food budget went super high, but I was renting like $1,100, like a super cheap like rental. Car was like bust up, and then like everything else was like don't like the clothes, or weren't buying any like nice watches or any expensive clothes, but our food budget just went like really big. So like everybody just kind of has like their thing where like it's important to them, but they got to realize that you can only have enough like in your current budget. Because I think what happens is like guys like, I want to travel and I want a nice car and I want a nice house and I want to buy a Rolex and I want the Birkin. Like when you do that, you put yourself into a bad situation. Like you get into debt or things where you can't afford it. You have to choose within your budget, where do you want to splurge and where are you going to save?
Yeah, and that's something that like I have to be really careful of putting out there. Like this, some people think that I'm living this like lavish lifestyle, spending money on like business class and travel all the time and buying the bags, right? And I'm like, no, we drive a 2015 Camry, and you know, I have the nice bag, but like I don't have the nicest car, and like I don't own a car, so like I just drive Paul's. So like yeah, it's a balancing act, and like we still do budget even if we're quote unquote like lean fired or whatever. Like we still have to budget.
Whether you're lean fire or fat fire, it doesn't matter, because that's why like these guys like NBA players, like they lose all their money because they have so much, but they don't budget. So then they spend more than your budget. I think it's like no matter what level you're at, like being rich means you have more than what you desire. You know, so like if I don't desire like a Birkin bag, like it's the same thing as actually having it, because I don't actually desire it in the first place, right? So whatever your desires is, as long as your desires are within your budget, I feel like that's what you would consider rich.
Yeah, we don't want to be like house broke or car broke, you know, have the best car or the best house on the block and then just be broke like at the end of the month. So that's not what we want for ourselves. So we're definitely budgeting. We're definitely trying to increase that cash flow and then increase our assets that bring in passive income.
So currently you guys are lean fire, right? You guys are making enough where you can live frugally. But it sounds like there's a lot of business going on. Flipping houses is lucrative. A construction company is lucrative. Where's like your goal for like the next like few years? Are you trying to get more passive income, more active income? What's like your bigger goals?
I realize the goals always change. It's like as an entrepreneur, you can't.
That's so true.
Like I think when I was working in corporate, there was always like this discussion of like, what's the 5-year plan? What's the 5-year vision? And then I realized every year at my company, it was like the 5-year vision changed. And then now that I run a company, I realize it's like, what's the point of running? I mean, it's definitely valuable of having like kind of a vision and knowing, but like you have to plan in like quarters and like sometimes even months because of how quickly the market shifts. So like trying to figure out what I'm doing like in 5 years is going to completely probably change in the next 3 to 6 months. I think right now what we're focused on is just like continually building out what we have right now. The market this year definitely cooled off. Like last year it was pretty hot still in Vegas. This year it's cooled off a lot more. So I've had to pivot a little bit. Like I'm not flipping as many homes. Like last year I was doing 20 plus homes. This year I thought I was going to do 30 plus homes, but I'm not. I'm doing in the teens. So I had to pivot a little bit in the construction side and focus on that area. And so like as an entrepreneur, I've learned you have to kind of like bob and weave with the market. And that's all good, because if you don't bob and weave, then you're going to be stuck in one spot, and then you can be hurting a lot.
Yeah. That's so true. I think a lot of times like you listen to like business coaches and they say, what's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? And then I talked to Panetta. He's like, dude, I don't have a 3 or 5 year plan. I have like a 1 year plan. Like and it's always changing too. And
right.
the same thing I found for us too is like, you can make a 5 year plan. Is it might be like healthy to just like think through those things. But then like, the reality is like after every like few months, your 5 year plan is gonna change. So like, you're making the plan just for the sake of making the plan, not so much that you're actually gonna hit it. You know.
Right. And that's I think every business is a little different, but that's just how we run ours.
Yeah. I mean, we've had to pivot a lot in the last like few years as well. It's always either it's marketing or it's like the economy or competition or like different kinds of things or technology. There's always things that are influencing like the opportunities, and so you're always trying to find where's the best use of my resources for the biggest opportunity in my current state, and then once another opportunity pops up, like, okay, like let's redirect the resources this way to this bigger opportunity, and then hopefully that one's successful or it's not successful. Okay, now you got to pivot back or go to another opportunity. It's a constant game of just like bobbing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What's been kind of maybe like some of the challenges you guys have faced as entrepreneurs when it comes to like the flipping houses?
So flipping houses this year, I've taken some losses. I mean, last year I've had some really good gains. This year I've taken some losses. I got tired of taking the losses.
This is the thing about flipping houses that people don't like see is that you make like $100,000.
Yeah.
Then like you lose like let's say 50. You only made 25 grand a house. Like,
right.
It's like the losses are huge dips to to your bottom line.
Right.
Then you subtract any of like whether it's marketing costs, whether it's time and energy, whether it's like employee salaries or things, like then that just drops even more. But losses like are a huge like negative like versus like in any business.
Oh, 100%. What was interesting about the Vegas market this year was as it cooled down, the values of homes still stayed high because a lot of sellers were not price reducing very quickly. Okay. So once I caught on to that, I would just list the house for a few months, and if it didn't sell, I would immediately go ahead and get an appraisal done.
Okay.
The value will still come in at what I thought it would be. It's just not selling. So then I would just cash out refi, put it into the rental portfolio, and then we would actually get money back, and we would be renting them out. And then we've learned this new rental model where it's like co-living. So we've been renovating homes and creating these things called pad splits. Pad splits kind of a new business out there where, and I've seen a lot of Instagram real estate folks who have been like advocating for this lately. It's kind of like a new trend that's going on out in Phoenix and Florida, things like that. But essentially Airbnb this year has also slowed down a lot with like the tariffs, the immigration and all that stuff. And in Vegas, a lot of our tourism is from like folks in like Canada or like Mexico and things. So that's really affected our Airbnb business. But as we've been pivoting along with the market, we've been creating pad splits.
Can you explain this thing pad split for maybe someone who's never heard of it before?
Yeah, so pad split is essentially where you rent by the room model.
Okay.
Whereas Airbnb you can still rent by the room, but pad split.
Give us like a like numbers example. So you have let's say 4-bedroom.
Yeah. So in Vegas, you can rent out each room for about $200 a week, which is about $800 a month. Okay. For a 4-bedroom house, that could be about $3,200 a month.
Wow. Okay. And what would it rent out if you just had like a long-term tenant?
An average 4-bedroom house in Vegas rents out about $2,000, $2,500 a month.
So it's almost double like
It is a little bit more. I think and I've been talking to a lot of other pad split, even the rep out here, about where you can get really big value out of pad split is you start making additional bedrooms in the living rooms and the garage area. And so a lot of houses that are in Vegas have already configured those living areas. And so if you just buy them and you renovate them out and make them look nicer, which is what we've been doing, you can you
turn like a 4-bedroom house into like a 6-bedroom house.
Correct.
The way that you configure the house inside.
Right. So the first 4 bedrooms are bringing in $3,200 a month. And pad split takes its 8% fee, so it's around like $2,800 plus your utilities, and then your mortgage is about $25,000. So your first 4 bedrooms all just going to like break even. Okay. But if you add 2 to 4 more bedrooms, we have 2 pad splits that are 8 bedrooms each.
Wow.
Each of those, any bedroom over 4 bedroom is now all cash flow. Okay. So we're cash flowing anywhere from like $2,000 to $3,000 each pad split a month.
This is like one of the things that people like. It's like the magic of like the bottom line is like there's a baseline of like your expenses. And then anything above that is 100% profit.
Right.
And there's like that thing like just in business in general, like whether you have like your overhead, right? You have like your employees, like your rental, your things, all your marketing costs, whatever it is. There's a baseline to break even. And then if you're below the baseline, obviously like you're in the red. But if you're like at even or positive, you're black. But then the scale to get from here to here, this is 100% profit. So like all your energy should go into this because like this is just like where all the real money is made.
Right.
So this is exactly what you do in the pad split is like those extra rooms, like that's when all the profit is made. Like,
right.
You know, so what are you but what are you doing for like 8 bedrooms? Like, how do you keep people from like killing each other inside these houses?
So a lot of people ask us this. So when Sarah and I met, we were still living in Boston. Sarah was finishing up college, and I was kind of just starting my corporate job. Okay. And so we were actually moving around a lot. And we were actually living in one of these like pad splits at the time. Pad split wasn't around at the time,
but like a
but a similar co-living kind of thing. So we had roommates. Okay. We knew we didn't know who they were, and we saw the problems that could happen. People stealing your food, people being too loud.
What do you mean by stealing your food?
Oh, people stole my food in the fridge. People poisoned my food. It was crazy.
What?
And
what do you know why they poison your food? How do you know?
It's just like they would get like there's a lot of just like passive aggressiveness in the house, and so this was pre-COVID, by the way, and so like we started like we told ourselves like one day we're gonna be the landlord. Like we're gonna make this a way better experience. So like when we built our pad splits, we labeled, so we would buy.
Wait. Before we get there.
Yeah.
I gotta hear the poisoning your food story.
Oh, that was bad. So there was this one lady and her daughter who lived. We were living in LA at the time in this like 8-bedroom house. Okay. And she always like try to hog the fridge space. Okay. And we brought groceries, and so we were fighting over fridge space. Yeah. And then we kind of like moved her groceries to like one side and ours on another side, but she like went and put her groceries back, and then we kind of did that back and forth a few times. And then eventually like she thought we cooked her food, and then we thought she cooked our food, and then one day like I started getting stomach aches. And then I was like, what's going on? And then Sarah said she saw her like tampering with our food. And so I was like, what is going on in this house? Like it got to like this point where I was like, this is wild. Like, and she was just like super into it. And Sarah and I were just like, all right, like I think we need to find a new house at this point. And so that wasn't a good experience, but like that's just like something that can be like easily remediated. Okay. Like as hosts ourselves, like we put 2 refrigerators in each pad split. Okay. And we always buy the side-by-side doors. We never buy the bottom drawer. Okay. So when you buy the side-by-side door refrigerators, you have shelves on the freezer side and the fridge side, and you label all the shelves by room numbers. Interesting. So room 1 has this shelf, room 2, and so on and so forth. So you're getting rid
of like the potential like fighting over like refrigerator space by saying this is like your space.
Correct.
So like if the house rules are dictating whether or not because if there's no house rules, it's like might makes right basically, right?
If there's no house rules, and we used to complain to the host, and the host would just send me these text messages on WhatsApp like about like, hey, like, we're all friends here, let's be nice, and sent me like this Chinese psalm, and I was like, what is going on right now? Like this is not happening. Like this is crazy. So I was like telling Sarah, I was like, Sarah, one day like we're gonna have one of these, and we're not gonna do this. Like so the other thing was like sometimes the walls are really thin. Okay. So when we have our contractors go in and renovate, we make sure there's like extra insulation in the walls so it's more soundproof. We also put in TVs in every single bedroom with like access to like Netflix and things like that, so that like they kind of keep to themselves. I see. And like kind of just.
So they're not fighting over like a TV living room, like TV.
Exactly. Little things like that. And just like
this is genius. So like multiple refrigerators and then shelves labeled for every room. Every room has its own TV. What about like bathroom stuff?
So we never want to have more than like 3 bedrooms to a bath.
Okay.
3 is kind of the limit. So we have an 8-bedroom, 3-bathroom. Okay. And so it's plenty of bathrooms for the folks. And then we also have a laundry room with 2 stackable washer and dryer.
Okay, so if one goes down, multiple guys can do laundry at the same time.
Exactly. Okay. And so we never really have issues. The only issues that we've had is like the garbage disposal. I mean, that's a very common thing in rentals, and so we're actually thinking of either taking out the garbage disposal or putting in a stronger one. So like it's other than that, like it's been pretty chill. Like Airbnb is like way more. You have to spend a lot more time in it dealing with guests.
Yeah.
So are you the one in charge of like the pad split and making sure like the tenants are happy?
Yeah, I'm in charge of all the tenants. So we have 16 tenants right now.
In the pad splits?
Actually 17, because one of it is double occupancy. Okay. So I have 17 tenants right now currently that I'm managing, plus 4 in the long-term rentals, and then constant rotation of guests in Airbnbs. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, from your perspective, is there any other little tricks or tips you would say for pad split owners?
Never take a side when there is drama, because they will come to you like I'm their parent, expecting me to interfere and lecture someone. So you just step aside. They're all adults. So we just tell them like, hey, like, can you talk to them? and then just leave it at that. Like, you don't want to get too involved in their drama, and because they're roommates, right? So they're expected to tidy up after themselves. They're expected to have a cleaning schedule. They're expected to take out the trash.
What about that? Like the cleaning schedule? Do you guys create the cleaning schedule, or do they do that?
They do that. We provide the cleaning materials, and we notice that there's only like maybe 3 people that really clean, and that's an issue that we've been trying to solve. So it's kind of
like the cleaner, the people who like things cleaner, they're gonna take the responsibility and basically clean for other people as well too.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is in a big room, like house with roommate situations anyway. It's like 1 or 2 people end up being the clean people, and then the rest are just sloppy or messy. So it's just part of co-living, I think, because like we had to experience that when we were living in a co-living situation. So it's just something that you have to just roll with, and just kind of, they just need to kind of realize that that's you know what's going on.
Anything like, is there any like specific story about like drama you've had with some of the tenants that
nothing share? I can share here.
Okay.
It's just, honestly, most of the pad split people are there to work a job. They're usually here for like transient people kind of just moving to Las Vegas, working at the gas store around the corner, working as a security on the strip. So they're just like honest people just trying to work and have a place to sleep. So a lot of them are just keep to themselves.
What if like they bring home like their girlfriend or their boyfriend?
Oh, we've had that for sure. And then like the other roommates tell on them and be like, hey, so-and-so is bringing their girlfriend over. And I'm I'll talk to them. That's against the house rules. But, you know, you have to also mention it and be like, hey, like that's not fair because they're using the resources, they're using the bathrooms and whatnot.
Interesting. I mean, it's genius. It sounds like it's a lot of work, but I mean, if like bottom line is that you guys are operators, you guys are making it work, so that's very, very cool.
Yeah, I try not to get involved and just, you know, be kind of hands off, and I have a co-host who helps me, so she's a lot of help.
Okay. So I mean, maybe just like when it comes to just like entrepreneurship and like business in general, you guys have done like a really good job. Like, what are maybe like the biggest challenges you face just as an entrepreneur, would you say? And both of you guys can answer this.
I think one of the biggest transitions that we've had to do is like working together as a couple, because in the construction we're working together currently, and we're working like in the complementary roles in the flipping and rentals and Burr. So going from having 2 separate W-2s and working in our own offices to working. So
is the office at home? You guys are at your home office?
We have a home office. And then we, you know, basically work with each other 24/7. So navigating that business relationship along with our personal one has definitely been a lot of transitions.
I can see that.
I think for me, so now that we've been doing this for a while, I've noticed a pattern where I have to constantly evolve as an entrepreneur. Like I have to become the person I need to be able to handle the next step. So like a lot of self-growth is like very important as an entrepreneur. I think when I was in a W-2, even before we bought our very first rental, like I've done so much reading and watching videos and like wanting to buy rental properties and like things like that, and asking questions of folks. But like pulling the trigger on your first business, like sending that wire, like that first $20,000 wire, I was like, oh, like I don't know if this is gonna work. Like that leap of faith. Like I tell a lot of folks who ask me like, hey, how do I get started? And even friends and personal family and all that, just like, hey, you like an entrepreneur is a different breed. Like they kind of have this like this thing inside of them that says, hey, like I'm willing to take the risk. And then becoming that person is like the first step. And then as you take that first leap of faith in yourself, now you're an entrepreneur and you start seeing like all these things, and you want to be a good entrepreneur, or even effective one. You see all the other entrepreneurs who are doing so much better, and you're trying to figure out why you're not that. And you have to then redevelop yourself again and self-grow. And like you have to figure out, okay, I actually have to wake up at a certain time. I have to actually prioritize like my day a certain way, because there's only so many hours of, you know, in the day. And tasking it, then I actually have to learn how to do sales. I have to learn how to manage employees. I have to learn how to do this and that. And it's just, but you have to constantly invest in growing yourself. Like it's just a nonstop. Like if you want to be a millionaire, you have to learn how a millionaire operates, like how they think, how they approach, how to do things. Like you want to be a 9-figure earner, like you have to. And as I meet other mentors and people who are at different levels, they constantly tell me that same thing. They're just like, you have to learn how to become this person. Yeah,
that's so good. You put into words with like my journey. Like I could never like articulate what you just said, but like that first wire that I sent for that first property, I was so scared. Like, you know, it was crazy. I was like, is this a real title company? I had to like call them, like, start really like make sure I'm not wiring to some scam and things. Like, I was so scared, but like that broke the dam, right? So like okay, now you're in this world of investing and real estate where like you're the host, the sole responsibility. I think at a W2 there is some growth, but you never have to shoulder the growth. Like, if you don't do a good job, like no one's gonna like worst case you can get fired, but even if you do bad jobs, that you'll rarely ever get fired, you know. So it's just like, it's so safe and easy, I think, as an employee, as a W2, versus like as an entrepreneur, like all the weight and all the decisions are like now on your shoulders.
Right. Yeah, you realize as a W2 how not little you know, but like how much more there is to learn as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's just like you like when you're in a W2, you're just focused on your role, your department. But when you're an entrepreneur, you now have to learn sales, marketing, finance, like accounting, like legal, like all sorts of things that like you don't really have to worry about when you're like working a job. And so it's like this whole world of things. It's like, whoa, like I've got to learn how to be that person who knows how to run a company now.
Yeah. So true. You little did you know what you're getting into, right? When you thought you just would buy a simple rental, right? But like, okay, now there's all these other things that you gotta learn about too.
Yeah. So
last question for you guys, and so it might tie into something what you shared before, but if you're like talking to like a brand new entrepreneur and they want to kind of break into this world of real estate investing or entrepreneurship, what's one piece of advice that you would give them? And both of you guys can answer.
Something that I've watched Grant Cardone say a lot on videos is he said he gets asked this question all the time, and people ask him, what should I invest in, right? Like, and he says, nothing. You don't know anything yet. Like, you have to learn how to invest first. So invest in yourself. You know, buy some coaching, buy something that can like teach you what it is to become a wise investor. And so I believe that, like, you know, investing in your learning and yourself, like if you try to do it on your own, and you're just going to fail. And failure is just inevitable, but like if you fail and learn it on your own, like it's just going to take much longer. Whereas if like you pay someone, it's kind of like this pay to play thing where it's like if you pay someone to teach you and like guide you, and granted there are a lot of gurus out there who won't really teach you everything, so you gotta also have to filter through that and find someone who's really going to give you that one-on-one value so that you can like essentially get guided to like become the next level of person or entrepreneur and investor that you want to become.
I love that. That's really good advice.
For me, I think what I would tell them is, if you're married, make sure you have buy-in from your spouse. I think that's number one thing.
Okay.
And if you're not married, you have to find the right partner.
That's really good advice.
Because entrepreneurship, it just becomes more than a work that you do. It becomes your lifestyle. And so if you don't have buy-in from your partner or your spouse, that's going to just cause a lot of trouble, not only in your marriage, of course, or your partnership, whatever, but in the business as well. So make sure you have buy-in and make sure you found the right spouse.
Those are both gems. Thank you for sharing both those gems. Well, if people want to reach out to you or find out more about you, either a construction company or flipping or coaching, what's the best way to do so?
So our Instagram handles are our names. Mine's Paul Wu Lee. Sarah is Sarah Chung Lee. And then Sarah's more active on TikTok these days. But if you guys ever want to give us a follow, our construction company is also on my page. And then you feel free to just DM me. I respond to everyone.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time.
Cool.
Congratulations on all the success.